And thank you, Max, for joining us in Alberta here today to share your vision of what an equal Alberta is. I want to thank our Freedom Conservative Party Board of Governors who are here with us today: Mark Menete, Alex McCall, Jeff Rote, Bob LaFleur, Jason Dent, Malcolm Stinson, Matthew Morrissey, Rick Northey, and Glenn Dundas. I also want to thank my colleague from the United Conservative Party and my fellow MLA from Highwood, Wayne Anderson, who's here. Now, I remember the day I first met Max. I was attending a speakers series of cabinet ministers in Ottawa just a few months after the federal Tories were sworn into power in 2006. And we had a speaker that day who was this MP and minister from Quebec. And all I knew about politicians from Quebec, regardless of what party they're in, is that they're just in Ottawa to pork barrel and raise taxes. But like every bias, even those that are mostly true, Max proved to me to be the exception to the rule. He spoke with pride about how he refused easy opportunities to pork barrel in his riding. He spoke about how he refused to participate in corporate welfare vote buying. And he spoke about his mission of getting his home province of Quebec off of equalization and standing on its own 2 feet. That is why when Max ran for the leadership of the federal Tories, I was proud to support him as the only Quebec politician who has ever broken the mold of what is expected of him. And as the only major candidate willing to discuss equalization and fairness for Alberta, he was the first Francophone in more than 100 years since Sir Wilfrid Laurier to win the majority of votes in a major vote in Alberta. Now, I know that not every member of the People's Party of Canada is a member of the Freedom Conservative Party of Alberta, and that not every member of the Freedom Conservative Party of Alberta is also a member of the People's Party of Canada. But I believed that it was important for all of you here today to come and hear what Max has to say about his vision of an equal Alberta inside of Canada. So I want to thank Max for coming. Let's give him another round. To demand equality or independence for Alberta. Let me begin by explaining how exactly I and the Freedom Conservative Party came to the point where we support the movement for equality or independence. In the spring of 2018, I was sitting as an independent because the Tory leader had told me that he wanted me to run in any constituency in the next election across Alberta except my own, because it would look bad for, and I quote, a white, blonde, bearded redneck to defeat one of our only women and minority candidates in a nomination from the caucus. End quote. Put that on a billboard, eh?
I don't recall you being blonde, Derek.
I refused to abandon my constituency on the altar of political correctness and race and gender quotas. Now, do you know the difference between a Liberal and Tory is on race and gender quotas? Nothing. The Tories feel guilty about doing it.
Really?
In dozens of constituencies across Alberta, Tory nominations were rigged in favor of hand-picked establishment candidates, in most cases to fill out some kind of diversity scorecard. In the legislature, I found myself as the only MLA willing to stand up, speak out, and vote no against an array of extreme NDP legislation that all of the other parties were too afraid to oppose. When the NDP brought forward Bill 14 that would give government subsidies to businesses that met government targets for race and gender quotas, the Liberals, the Alberta Party, and the Tories all voted in favor of it. On amendment after amendment to remove race and gender quotas from the legislation, Tory MLAs were whipped to vote for it. Despite my private conversations with several Tory MLAs saying that they thought that that bill was a complete betrayal of everything they stood for, they had no choice. When Rachel Notley and Jason Kenney stood arm in arm begging Justin Trudeau to buy them the Trans Mountain Pipeline, I found myself as the only MLA speaking out against it. I should say, the only MLA allowed to speak out against it. Now, Alberta MLAs are the highest paid provincial politicians in Canada, and after running a deficit for more than a decade under both parties, I felt it was necessary for us to take a 5% pay cut. When I put this to a vote in the legislature, every single party, NDP, Liberal, Alberta Party, and Tory, all voted in unison against it. When the NDP brought forth Bill 9 to ban pro-life protests in Alberta, I found myself not to be just not only the only conservative to oppose the bill, I found myself to be the only conservative to speak to, debate, or even vote on the bill. I'm not sure I'm glad for that. That's a sad reflection. Despite there being many MLAs in the Tory caucus who are pro-life, and all of them essentially pro-free speech, they were whipped into not speaking one single word in a debate on a bill that took over a month on a hugely important piece of legislation, and they were forced to leave the chamber every single time there was a vote.
Shame.
Don't blame the individual MLAs necessarily. They had no choice. That is why we are the only party in Alberta committed to abolishing the position of a party whip. But on a dozen votes on passing, killing, or amending the bill, for the first time in the history of Alberta, the official opposition left its post and refused to do its job. Shameful. But I tell you that when it comes to fighting against socialism, real conservatives never leave their post. But what really moved me to believe that Alberta needed a new principled conservative party was the ineffectual and flaccid stand for Alberta's place in Confederation. When one party's strategy is to suck up to Ottawa, and the other party's plan is to merely complain about Ottawa, I knew that it was time for us to build something new. So, in this very hotel, Bob LaFleurgy was here with me, our founding president. On the 20th of July, this last summer, we announced the creation of the Freedom Conservative Party of Alberta with 3 founding principles. These principles are freedom for Alberta, freedom for Albertans, and responsibility for Alberta's government. Freedom for Albertans is pretty clear to most of us. It means the abolition of all laws and regulations designed to protect adults from themselves. It means the government should collect no more money than is needed and spend no more of that money than is required. Responsibility for Alberta's government means that when we make mistakes, we admit to them and take responsibility. It means holding governments accountable in between elections by giving citizens the ability to hold referendums and to recall their MLAs. But our party's first principle, freedom for Alberta, is the main reason that we are here today. From the day that the Freedom Conservative Party was founded, we have been dedicated to achieving a place of equality and autonomy in Canada. But asking nicely has gotten us nowhere.
That's right.
In any successful negotiation, your side must have either a carrot or a stick. Alberta's got no carrot. The federal government already takes the carrot. They take what they want from us, and we have no way to stop them.
Well, yes, we do.
Asking for their consent to tinker with equalization will do nothing. Begging them to buy us a pipeline or a light rail will do nothing. Alberta has no carrot. But I propose to give Alberta a very big stick.
I like it.
I believe that the best place for Alberta is a place of honor and equality as a part of Canada. But no amount of sucking up or just grumbling about it will achieve this. There is only one way that Ottawa, under either of the establishment parties, will agree to equality for Alberta, a real and credible threat of independence. Now, if Confederation is a marriage of sorts, Alberta is the sugar daddy. Alberta showers Ottawa in money, and we get a loveless, transactional relationship in return. But not every marriage that is broken needs necessarily end in divorce. Canada is a marriage that I believe is worth saving. But if our one-sided relationship cannot be fixed, then there is only one honorable option left: independence. Our message is clear. Alberta must be equal, or Alberta must be independent. Now, what exactly does equality look like? For the Freedom Conservative Party, it means an equal and elected Senate. No one's talking about that anymore, are they? It means strengthening the now worthless constitutional protections for free trade and market access across provincial borders. It means ending equalization with a hard cap on net wealth transfers out of Alberta. It means Alberta having the same rights as Quebec to establish our own police force. To have an Alberta pension plan and employment insurance that actually works for oil field workers. It means directly administering the Firearms Act. It means collecting our own taxes. And it means the establishment of our own Alberta-run immigration and refugee system. None of these demands, not one, asks for special treatment or favors, just equality. Asking nicely won't work. Sucking up or just complaining to Ottawa, as other parties do, won't work. If Ottawa is to agree to a place of equality, then they have to know we mean business. That is why our demand for equality has an expiration date. Within 1 year of the coming provincial election, Albertans will hold a referendum. If that referendum is on ratifying an agreement for equality, or whether it is a referendum on independence, is up to Ottawa.
Let it go there.
Now, I know that some of you will say that Canada is broken beyond repair, and that it is time to vote on independence now. To you, I say, I don't believe the threat of independence would be credible unless we have attempted first to heal our relationship with the federal government and other provinces in good faith. And I know that some of you want autonomy for Alberta, but are afraid of putting independence on the table. To you, I say, Ottawa will never agree to equality for Alberta unless it believes it has no other choice. To all of you, I say that Alberta must be strong and it must be free, and that the best path for that is as an equal partner inside of Confederation. But if that fails, and our only choices left are between the status quo and independence, I choose independence. Now, those who scoff at the mere mention of independence as an option are effectively arguing that it is better to live on our knees than to die on our feet. We reject this false dichotomy. An equal Alberta inside of Confederation can live on its feet and continue to be the anchor of Canada. But if that is not possible, then an independent Alberta, with or without Saskatchewan and other western provinces, can prosper beyond our current horizons.
That's right.
An independent Alberta would have a GDP per capita in the very top tier of nations on the planet, in the same class as Singapore, Switzerland, and Norway, taking us from 34th globally to 9th. An independent Alberta would be landlocked like a provincial Alberta, but it would retain an extra $20 to $30 billion every year in net tax transfers to Ottawa, and hold considerable leverage in negotiating with the British Columbia that surely desires Canadian access as much as Alberta desires coastal access. I I can imagine a lot of check stops looking for pine beetle at the border. An independent Alberta would negotiate its own trade relationships, unencumbered by Ottawa's obsession with race, sex, and carbon, and the main areas of disagreement with the United States: steel, aluminum, and supply management. But independence would not be easy. It would not be a panacea to all of Alberta's problems. Let's not kid ourselves. But it would finally allow Alberta to live on its feet. But before we go there, let us first fight for a place of equality and honor inside of Canada.
Yep.
Fighting for a place of equality and honor in Canada will take work at both the provincial and federal levels. To Conservative Party of Canada members who are here today, I ask you to tell your leadership to stop pandering and stop taking Alberta's votes for granted.
Yep.
To People's Party of Canada members who are here today, I ask you to be clear and specific with what exactly equality for Alberta means when you speak to Albertans. To provincial Tory members who are here today, I ask you to ask yourself, will Alberta ever be treated equally if our government here at home is just a farm team for a senior federal party? To all of you here today, I ask, will you stand and will you fight? Of course.
Yeah.
The provincial election is right around the corner, and the NDP are doomed to lose power.
Yeah.
They are doomed to lose power, and that is good news for all Albertans. But do we really want to go back to the way things were with the Tories under Redford and Fildebrandt? No! Do we really want to exchange big government socialism for big business corporate welfare? No! Do we want to exchange government by special interest group for government by polling and focus group? We believe, the Freedom Conservative Party believes, that Alberta needs a government that makes decisions by principle and by just doing what's right. We believe that Alberta needs a government whose MLAs are chosen by grassroots, not appointed or in rigged nominations to fill out some affirmative action diversity scorecard. We believe that Alberta needs MLAs that serve neither big government nor big business, but free enterprise for all.
Yeah.
And Alberta needs a government that defends free speech for every Albertan, pro-life, pro-choice, and everyone in between. Our party is not a cult of leadership. Our party is not a tool for career politicians to advance to greener pastures. Our party is a movement of grassroots Albertans that understand that freedom is not given, it is taken. Stand with me. Stand with the ranks of the Freedom Conservative Party of Alberta. Stand with Alberta. Stand together with all of us for an Alberta that is strong and free. God bless Alberta.